Hi everybody, this is Odd Samurai, and today I'm doing something a little bit different. And this is just, in preparation because Monogatari Obsession has been officially confirmed to be dropping in the summer of this year. So, this is for all the people who aren't aware of all my love for Monogatari. So, yeah, I mean, I feel like you could guess considering I've had a YouTube Monogatari header, the image on top, for quite a while. Now it's the abandoned cram school, but it used to be just like silhouettes of all the characters. So yeah, I mean, I don't have a script here. I'm just gonna be messily rambling on about my favorite characters. So yeah, hopefully this won't be too boring to watch. But yeah, so actually, let me start recording my screen because I haven't done that. Okay. So here, I'm not going to go in order of where the characters are here. I'm just gonna do it by my order, basically, just making a favorites list, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. Although some of them are like they're not like fully solidly in place. Like let's say like number 10 could easily swap places with 11 and so on. But like some of them are definitely like this is not changing at the moment. So yeah, I mean he's right here. So let's start with Araragi, okay? So yeah, also I have just boring S, A, B, C, D tiers. And I got rid of E and F because there's no E and F Monogatari characters. So yeah, let's get that out of the way. I don't really dislike any of them. Oh, I used to back when I first watched it, but not anymore. So, Araragi, huh? He's let's just put him in his rightful place here. He's top one for me. He's one of my favorite protagonists in anime manga of all time. I mean, he's definitely a bit of a controversial protagonist. He be doing some suspect stuff, but I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, it's just it is what it is, right? It's I've come to get used to it and not get bothered by it. But I mean, the stuff with his when he does stuff with his sisters, and just when the Hachikuju stuff, it's whatever now. But like that stuff when what was an Oni Monogatari, where he's just checking under her skirt while she's unconscious, that's a no for me, bro. Just stop. That's enough. But for the most part, I'm okay with Araragi. And I think there can be some character reason or context for him to be doing stuff like that. Like him flipping Hanekawa's skirt in Nekokuro. By the way, Nekokuro, hella underrated arc. This is not an arc tier list, but just know that, yeah, Nekokuro is not appreciated enough. But yeah, Araragi, I really, really love him. Like, just like all, or at least most of the dynamics that he has with the rest of these characters are so top tier. And my top one with him is not one that is very popular, but I'll stand by it whenever I get to that other character. So yeah, Araragi, I just love his progress as a character. from him just going, you know, if I make friends, it'll lessen my quality as a human or something along those lines. To him just being happy that he has all those friends and just like being not worthy of them or feeling like he's not worthy of them and just feeling kind of like guilty that he is happy that he has all these people around him, and then growing a little by little and gaining some more self-esteem and just, you know, trying to deal with his savior complex as well, which is just such a big part of his character and so interesting too. The way that, you know, we have Bake with that structure, and it just gets completely tossed on his head in Nise, which Nise, oh man, Nise is either loved or hated, but I think it's pretty cool and I think it's pretty fun. Sorry, not an arc tier list, but I just had to give some shout outs. But yeah, he just continues on growing and learning that he doesn't have to be perfect, you know, he doesn't have to sacrifice. Just put his body on the line every time for people to value his presence. And just he very, very slowly starts to see that, wait a minute, people actually like me for who I am, and I don't have to go to such great lengths to deserve being with them. Like that, I just love that shit. And also just that he has to learn that he cannot save everyone. Like the stuff with Nadeko. And then, you know, whenever Hachikuji just passes on as a ghost during Oni Monogatari. Like, you know, and other people can save those people that he can't save. But even if those people are unsalvageable, he just has to live with it. Like Oikura. So yeah, there's so much to Araragi's character. I could literally talk about him for at least half an hour of just him. But I don't want this video to be too long. So yeah, I just, my heart goes out to Araragi. I would say, let's see, like, I don't know, let's go with like top 3 scenes with him. I would say like top 1 easily, you know, when he saves Ogi from the darkness, therefore saving himself. And then the second one, it's probably the last scene of Soku Owari. Although, you know, that's also as much of a Senjo scene as it is an Araragi scene, but it really showcases how, you know, much he's come since we first met him. And just telling Senjo Ahara that he didn't have any regrets with her. And then it doesn't matter if he can't move. Now he has people that can help him. Just, you know, if you can't walk, then just we'll jump together. That scene. And then the third one is probably it's a very, I swear I almost never see people talking about this scene, but it's the one in Mayoi Hell, where he's wondering if he should be allowed to come back to life. That maybe there are other people that deserve it more than him. And then Hachikuji gives him this talk, and like, yeah, of course you do. That really gets me teary-eyed. So, yeah, that's my last thing about Araragi. Yeah, there's so much to say, but just know that I love him. But he wasn't always my top one. The person or character that used to be top one for the longest time. I think I only had Araragi in top one like maybe 1 year. So yeah. Oh, and I got into Monogatari in 2018, so it's been a little that I've been a fan, and I'm always going back to episodes, so I have everything fresh, and I have all the novels. Literally all of the novels from final season are right behind the camera. Then the ones for second season are in a box set right over here, and the ones for first season are right here. So yeah. Okay, so my second favorite character is, of course, the con artist Kaiki. And I mean, what? There's so much to say about Kaiki. There's so much to say about, like, at least my top, like, 7. But Kaiki, man, the way that he gets introduced, I was like, and I feel like most people have this, but like, surely there's no way that they're gonna make me like this guy. Like, he just goes around like conning middle school kids, and he has no remorse for it. And then just what he does to Karen as well with the bee. But then you get to episode 7 of Nissan, and it's like this whole thing about, what? You really thought I was this grandiose villain? Nah. I'm just some guy. A guy that is very self-aware that he's a fake. And if you guys tell me that that I have to leave here, then I will, because I don't want to get beat up. But also, there's obviously so many layers as to why he would leave, specifically because he's told by Senjogahara. And that dynamic between him and Senjogahara is so good. So good. It's definitely up there in like top 5 for me, dynamics in Mono. And I just love that not everything is said. Like, even after everything that happens in Koi, we still have quite some questions about, like, what is the true nature of their relationship, because, you can never really trust what this guy says. And Senjo is quite the tsundere, so sometimes you're like, does she really mean that, or is she just saying that? So yeah. Also, the stuff that he has with Gambaru as well is so cool. And just, I mean, it also depends on whether you watch Hana before Koi or you watch it after. But I would recommend it before Koi, because it does give you more context on the way that he acts in that arc. And thinking about it, it's a very similar thing with Kisu. Like, well, but there's like this mystery about whether he will live or die at the end of Koi, and it's like, Nishu isn't never expected, or not expected, but never intended it to be seen as a mystery. You're just making it a mystery. I always say, like, oh man, these Monogatari fans would just, drive a car blindfolded because, oh, where's the mystery? There never was supposed to be that mystery. So yeah, I'm really hoping that someday, I don't think we ever will, but someday, I would love to get a novel of all the oddity specialists in college, just to see what his dynamic was with Oshino there, with Kagenui. We just get it mentioned, but we never see it. Actually, it's kind of wild that we never get to see the specialists just talk to each other in the present. Yeah, no, we really don't. That's crazy. Anyway, Kaiki, yeah. Awesome. His stuff with Nadeko, I haven't even I haven't even mentioned his dynamic with Nadeko. It's so good. And just the parallels that you can extract from, that maybe he sees himself in Nadeko in regards to like um, the whole unreciprocated love and stuff. That's also really good. And the last episode of Koi, when he tries to con her, or rather he cons her into going for her dream of being a manga artist. So good, bro. That shit's so peak. Definitely top 3 episodes in the series for me. So yeah, Kaiki, I love him so much. And even though this look is iconic, I definitely prefer him with his hair down and the brown duffel coat. So yeah, Kaiki, second favorite. Now, let's go to my third one. Yeah, all the top 5 are gonna be in the S tier. So, who's it gonna be? Oh, I know. It's Hanekawa. So Hanekawa is top 3. And I've actually been rereading some of the novel stuff with her, well, her arcs. I already reread Tsubasa Cat, or yeah, Tsubasa Cat is the one in Bake, and it was really good. And now I started rereading Tsubasa Family, which is Nekokuro, and man, the anime really cut out a lot of the beginning conversation with Tsukihi. But I mean, it's not like super important. It's just, it's just fun bantering between Araragi and Tsukihi. But, there's a lot. There's like 50 pages that are not in the anime. Anyway, Hanekawa. Yeah, I mean, what can I say about Hanekawa, man? Just the way that her character is explored about, this, I don't want to say obsession, but like more like a coping mechanism of the way that she tries to portray herself as the most normal girl in the world, but by doing so, she is abnormal. Like the stuff with her burying the dead cat. Most people wouldn't do that, so that would be normal. But for Hanekawa, the proper way to go about that would be to bury the cat. Not because she cares, but because, that's, what would be seen as quote-unquote normal. And just, the stuff with her and her parents, it's just so freaking heartbreaking. And yeah, I just wish she had a much better childhood, but hey, surely that would not have made as much of an interesting character as she is, right? So, yeah. Just, and her dynamic with Araragi from the moment that she gets introduced in Kizu, so good, so good. The conversation that she has with him in like the field during the second movie is so good. Just Araragi telling her that he's scared of her and that he has no idea why she would go this far for someone that she barely knows. And that just says something about Araragi as well. Like, man, the pot calling the kettle back. Is that how the phrase goes? And then her just going, yeah, well, I don't think it's self-sacrifice at all. I think that it's self-satisfaction. I'm way more selfish than you think I am. And oh man, that's such a good Hanekawa moment. And then the stuff with her and Araragi in the third one as well, when they're in the gym storage before you know what happens. But her just doing her best to convince him to live. Please, please, Araragi-kun, please leave. And what she says, just one little Hanekawa is more than enough to make up to keep one Araragi alive. When she tells him that it's okay if he becomes a full, hungry vampire. She's fine dying for him. Oh man, those two make me crazy. And then also the stuff that she gets later with Senjogahara as well. That they bond so much, not just for their love of Araragi, but also just the love that they found with each other as well. And yeah, they what may seem like just a not important conversation about like food and spices and all that stuff just says so much about Hanekawa as a person. And just, if you like everything, that you don't really love anything. She just accepts everything. And that's not, that feels very hollow. And that's because she's suppressing pretty much any and all emotions not very well. Otherwise, Black Hanekawa wouldn't exist. And yeah, here is Black Hanekawa, but I'm not gonna rank it because, well, Black Hanekawa, they become one because they are one. They're all different versions of Hanekawa as well as the tiger. So yeah, with Hanekawa, I'm also counting Black Hanekawa. But yeah, the stuff with her and Tsubasa Tiger, it's more peak, bruh. Her just accepting the tiger and confessing to Araragi, and just for the first time in her life letting herself cry and show what she sees as not normal emotions or negative emotions finally out. Oh, that always gets me. But even more is when she finally tells those two people she's been living with to give her a room. And she finally has something that she can see as close to home. Oh, it gets me emotional. So yeah, Hanekawa's journey. Obviously, I did not give it justice explaining it. But I gotta keep going, bro. There's a lot of characters. I just love Hanekawa, and there's a lot of things that I find relatable with her. And just, bro, Nekokuro, bro. How do people not love it? Just finding out that there's no room for her in the house that she's living in this whole time. Oh, destroys me. And that's why, the end of Tsubasa Tiger hit so hard. And then just seeing her so at peace with herself in the arcs after that, chronologically, it just, it gives my heart some relief. Okay, let's continue on. So my fourth is actually Hachikuji. It's Hachikuji. I was not hesitating. I was just trying to, make it, like a drum roll, but I don't think that's how it came out. Yeah, Hachikuji. I mean, it's so hard to explain my love for Hachikuji. But she's the one that actually she has my favorite dynamic with Araragi. And I love their banter so much. Like Araragi just making jokes and just references with Hachikuji is so so fun. I don't know what to say, man. Just like she found home with Araragi, I feel like I'm at home whenever I see Araragi and Hachikuji talking. And not just, them just joking with each other, but also just they have Hachikuji being this sort of older sister that Araragi never had. So he always goes for advice with her and just trying to figure out some sort of problem that he has with himself or some sort of thing that he wants to help someone else with. And bro, she's so pivotal to the story as well. Kabuki Monogatari. And just that going back to Bake, and if she hadn't told him about Shinobu, all this kind of crazy shit happens. Oh my god, bro. Also the fact that he goes back in time to save her and never become a ghost. Their relationship just it's too much for me. It's too much. And I think it's also their relationship stands out so much because other characters do have other relationships with other characters. But Hachikuji really only has Araragi. She has interactions with Shinobu, Onoki, Hanekawa, but not as much as I would say she none of those even come close to the significance that she has with Araragi. So yeah, man, her goodbye in Oni always makes me cry, without fail. Also, her return in Mayoi Hell always makes me happy beyond belief as well. So yeah, also the scene with Araragi that I said when she tells him, of course it's okay for you to leave again. Yeah, that's probably also in my top 3 of favorite scenes for her. The first one is probably her goodbye in Oni. Then the second one is that one in Mayoi Hell. And then the third one, I wanna say it's probably the one where she it's actually her older self from a different timeline. When she encounters him in Kabuki. And even though she doesn't know him, there's just so much that can be felt simply because Araragi does know her. And then when he comes back and she's like, oh, where have you been all this time? Because, she tries to do the reverse on him and he's like, oh no, wrong Hachikuji, wrong timeline. And he asks her, do you have any regrets? Or if you had a chance to go back and not become a ghost, would you? And she just says, nah, because if I hadn't become a ghost, I wouldn't have met you. And oh my god, let me stop talking about Hachikuji because I'm just getting myself emotional. So yeah, that's my top 4. And now for the last character on the S tier is actually here. It's Shinobu. Yeah. Yeah, before you start yelling at me, I know some people are like, what? How do you not have her in the top 3 or higher? I still love her, I really do. She's still in this tier. But just her stuff, I feel has never resonated with me as strongly as some other people. But still, it's, like I said, pretty damn strong. She's still top 5. I mean, I feel other people have explained better why her dynamic with Araragi is so good. Not my favorite, but it's still up there with me. But yeah, I mean, her stuff in Kisu, in Kabuki, in Oni with her backstory with Seishiro, her stuff in that arc in Owari. I always forget the name. I always mix them up, like Shinobu Mail. I forget which, like, Shinobu Mail is the one second season or Owari. I'm sorry. I swear I'm not a fake fan. Yeah, I mean, I just love her journey of going from a lonely vampire who's been alone for like 400 years and resigning herself to be that way until she meets Araragi, and while she was suicidal, and just for all this time having regrets about the way that things went down with Seishiro, and wanting to somehow make up for it, or not necessarily make up for it, but just, you know, try to alleviate her guilt that has been kinda eating away at her with Araragi, because she was trying to die, but then, you know, she really didn't feel prepared for it in those last moments. So Araragi, for the first time ever, someone was willing to die for her. So she turned him into a vampire to have a companion for the first time in a long time. But then she saw that he actually wants to be a human, just like Seishiro did. So she was like, okay, I will turn you into a human, unlike I was unable, unlike Seishiro, I was unable with him. So this gives her the perfect opportunity to sacrifice herself and die in a better way that she would have felt when he finds her with her 4 limbs missing. But then, you know, Araragi, well, technically Hanekawa throws a wrench in things, because she tells Araragi, you know, just the whole thing about what she was doing these things and what she went the way that she did. So Araragi's like, okay, and now I don't want to kill you. So yeah, we get the end of Kisu. And then she, for a whole, I think it was like maybe it is a month of her not speaking, and just a lot of internalizing going on, trying to come to terms with the deal that Araragi forced upon her. And then in Nise, she decides to, well, we don't know exactly. It's hard to tell when exactly she forgives him, if she ever did forgive him, or rather that she thought that he needed forgiveness. It's a bit hard, you know, there's a lot of subtext. But yeah, you know, in their bath in episode 4 of Nisa, she decides to talk to him again, but it's still not as how it used to be when, you know, he was trying to recover her limbs. It's kind of strained, and there's a lot of guilt involved in both of the sides. But neither of them wants to let go. And Araragi, because of that, is still like, you know, you can kill me at any time you want, and if you die, then I'll die the next. And that's just, you know, yeah, makes sense. So many people love them. And just through all the things that they go through together throughout the series, and just the way that she sees the way Araragi behaves with others, is just kinda, he just, how to say it, he really breaks through her shell. Since before she really felt like she couldn't become close to anyone, but now this is the one person that she feels she can do that with. And then we have the Inowari, where she has the chance to stay as full powered kiss shot, but decides to go back with Araragi because, of course, what does it matter to be a full powered kiss shot if she doesn't have Araragi with her anymore? And that's so good. So yeah, Shinobu's great, and just her design. I mean, everyone's designs is great, but hers is definitely one of my favorites of all time. So yeah, there's Shino, and now we're gonna start with the A tier. And there we're gonna have the first one here is gonna be Senjo Hara. That's right, Senjo. So I really like her character arc as well. From going with what seems to be a very weird tsundere, maybe disguised as a yandere. And then we find out about her backstory, and like, ooh, that really explains why she is the way she is. And then through her interaction with Araragi, she starts going, from really cold and callous to softening up little by little. But even then, Araragi completely understands her, and even though their banter can be a little unhinged at times, he understands that she never truly means whenever she says mean things to him. And just their date during Bake in episode 12, so good, man, so good. One of my favorite first dates in anime or manga or ever. Just, yeah, them lying down in the grass while looking at the stars. And then the ending starts playing. Stop. Just stop, bro. Too peak. And then just, even though after Bake, oh, no. After Nise, really. She starts taking a bit of a backseat. I still love every time she shows up. But yeah, Nise was definitely, before Koi, her biggest character moment. Whenever she confronts Kaiki and decides that she loves the way that she is now because Araragi loves her. And I love that line, like, if you insult me the way that I am now, then I won't stand for it. So yeah, and then, yeah, of course, her dynamic with Kaiki is so freaking good. Like I said, I already gushed a little bit about it. But whenever they have, like, similar fun banter to her and Araragi's, it's so the best in the whole series. Like, it gets, like, Araragi, Hachikuji, and Senju and Kaiki are so close. And also the serious stuff as well. With Inise, when, like, she feels like she needs to confront him to have full closure in her past. But then basically Kaiki tells her, you don't need to do this. I forget the exact wording, but he's like, the past is not something that you need really to go over. You just have to move on. Sorry, I butchered that. But hopefully you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, but yeah, I really do feel like Kaiki was definitely necessary for her to truly move on from what was the last thing holding her back from being openly affectionate with Araragi. And there's something in Nise that gets cut out, but there's, like, a whole thing with her, like, I think it's like Araragi and Kambaru, like, celebrating her birthday, I think. And that's like the start, like the true start of Senjugahara becoming more soft and cutesy. Like we see her getting so emotional over Hanekawa in Tsubasa Tiger, and then, you know, the way that she celebrates Valentine's in Suki, like that all started from Nise and just never get animated. So that's a shame. But yeah, yo, the phone call that she has with Araragi right before he has the duel with Seishiro, so good. I mean, what more I can say? She's great, bruh. I mean, yeah. I love her relationship with Araragi. Easily one of my favorite canon romantic relationships in manga and light novels. There's something very special about this too. And yeah, also Tsuki Monogatari as well. The scene that she has when she's like, well, what if you cannot see yourself in mirrors? You can still reflect yourself in my eyes. Bro, that's so romantic, bro. I don't know what Nishio Isin was on, but he was on something else. Okay, so that was Senjugahara. Now my 7th is Kambaru. Now, Kambaru, unfortunately, okay, you know, oh, this is obviously all pre-off season, but I still wish that she had more serious stuff aside from just Hana, because she really has this ranking because of how fun her interactions are with Araragi, and that's most of it, really. Like, there's her stuff obviously in her introductory arc, you know, has all her struggle with her trying to, or rather not, being able to deal with the fact that Senjugahara chose Araragi over her. And so she has all these issues with, you know, why was I not enough for her? And so she's taking it out on Araragi, and just him being the guy that he is, just lets her, like, thoroughly unload her rage into him. And while he thinks is not, like, his involvement at all was completely necessary, I do think it was the step, or rather the push that Senjugahara needed to reconnect with Kambaru. But yeah, all that stuff, really good. And then, of course, the stuff with Hana, and just the way that we find out how she actually sees herself is very different from the way that Araragi sees her. And obviously she's not the only character that's the case. Like, the same could be said about Kaiki or Hanekawa, but I feel like Kambaru is the one that we see the less sides of her, while through Araragi's perspective. So she's the one that suffers the most for that. But yeah, the stuff in Hana, at first I didn't really appreciate it enough in the anime, but once I read it, it's pretty damn good. The scene where she gets her real arm back, and she goes on a run, and she falls down and she's crying out of happiness. Oh, so good. And then that other scene when after she finds out that Numachi is a ghost, and she just goes on running for hours until once again she falls down, and then Araragi finds her. Oh, and also the conversation that she has with him after that's so good. But like I said, Hana is amazing, and that it's also, as well as her introductory arc. But that's, you know, that's all the serious stuff with her. Aside from that scene she has in Owari during Shinobu's arc, where she has an argument about, you know, she has to go and see Seishiro. Otherwise, you'll never feel closure with him, and it would just be truly unfair to him. And it makes the most sense that it would come from Kambaru's mouth, because she's been in his spot. So she knows firsthand how that feels. So yeah, Kambaru, really fun comedic character, but also a lot more observant and introspective that you would expect. So yeah, there's Kambaru. After that, I have... Who do I have? Yeah. After that, it's Nadeko. But actually... actually, I had her... yeah. So, her and the character after this could very much swap places. But yeah, I'm fine with keeping her here. So Nadeko, I mean, there's a lot of things with Nadeko. For one, the first time I watched this, I did not like her. Or rather, once we got on Nadeko Medusa, I did not like her. And it stayed like that. Well, I tolerated her during Koi. And then once I got to the last episode of Koi, I was like, oh, my mind's open. I see now what Nishio-Isin has been doing with her. But it wasn't until I read her first arc, which is so underrated, and I feel like the anime doesn't do it justice. And Nadeko Medusa in novel form, that I actually started to like her. And that, honestly, once I read those, I was like, oh, that's a bit uncomfortable, because I realized that I disliked her because she really put in display a lot of the things that I don't like about myself. So yeah, that was a discovery. But yeah, she's really, really interesting, especially the unreliable narrators that it's used in Nadeko Medusa. And just the way that we start to peel back the layers with her, and just how much of a delusion she was in, and that it was a intentional delusion. But yeah, there's so much to her. There's, her trying to always act the victim, but also being tired of playing the victim, or sometimes actually being the victim. The conversation that she has with Tsukihi in their arc, the way that Shinobu just lays into her as well there, it's really, really good. That conversation with Tsukihi is Tsukihi's biggest moments. And yeah, the stuff in Koi. I mean, I feel like she's the one that I've had the most trouble explaining so far. But yeah, I mean, she's very much someone who keeps people at bay, and just as well as with the bangs, and the clothes that she wears, is trying to avoid the label of being called cute, because that word and that perception of her has felt like a cage for a long time, and doesn't know how to break it, or if she even is strong enough to break it, until we get to Nadeko Medusa, and she just breaks. And then we get to Koi, and yeah, the relationship she has with Kaiki, it's very very good to her. And then it's so cool to see her last scene in Owari, where she's drawing manga, she's talking with Tsukihi. And you can tell that she's finally started to change for the better. I started, or rather stopped using Araragi as a crutch, and is just trying to do things for herself now. And just be more true to herself, no longer using the cutesy victim act. And I love that for her. And just the little bit we get in Soku Owari, it's so good. That's so much better. But the journey that she had to go through to get there, it's super, super interesting. So that's Nadeko. And now, next one is Ogi. Now, Ogi, I did not like, but also because I'm not one to like antagonists that much. But man, her scenes gave me so much anxiety. Just in Ogi formula, especially. Just the way that she makes Araragi feel most of the time. That's how I felt. Like, oof. Like, can you stop just breathing in my neck and telling me all the things that I've been doing wrong? And mocking me for wanting connections? But obviously that's the point of her character. But you don't really know that until you get to the big reveal. So once you get that, it's like, oh, everything gets recontextualized. But yeah, as an antagonist, she's really good, she's really effective. And just as a complementary character, I mean, she's obviously a shadow of Araragi and an embodiment of his insecurities and just his regrets as well. So yeah, I love that kind of shit. Just the dynamic between Araragi and Ogi is very much my favorite type of dynamic for a lot of stories. Similar to Hanekawa and Black Hanekawa, but not quite. Like, Ogi was at the same time working against and for Araragi, because it's because of Ogi that he gets to realize a lot of things that he needed to realize, but you know, through a lot of tough love, if you will. But yeah, I mean, Ogi Dark is I want to say my favorite arc, but sometimes it fluctuates. But it's really up there. And man, Ogi formula. Oh my god, or I don't want to be mean. But man, I feel it was kind of butchered in the anime. Like, if you really want to experience the arc as it should be, as complete as it should feel, then please read the novel. There's so much that the anime doesn't show. Like, it feels like an actual mystery novel, and we get like full flashbacks of Araragi with his classmates, and all the classmates get names, and they all get descriptions, and they all get full lines of dialogue, and you know who is who, and you actually get a chance of trying to figure out who it is that set up Oikura. So yeah, Ogi formula, novel form, so superior. And of course you have Ogi being the master puppeteer during Tsuki, Nadeko Medusa, Koi technically as well. And even also, actually, yeah, technically Hana, but not too much. That was just Ogi chilled out and just being, uh, needs support for combat. So not antagonistic there. But yeah, Ogi, really, really, really good character. That just adds to Araragi simply by existing. So yeah, there's Ogi. So the last one in the A tier is it's Ononoki. Now Ononoki doesn't have a lot of serious stuff, not really. And even her arc, Suki, is mostly about Araragi himself. So yeah, I mean, I like all the stuff about, Onoki is a monster, so she's the only character that doesn't change. Not really, I wouldn't say. Through the story, she doesn't need to change, really. She's an oddity that is, a corpse or a shikigami that is not emotionless, but is rather expressionless. Except for Tokuowari, but don't remind me of that. And just, well, she is used for Araragi to realize that a monster is a monster and that he shouldn't be so ready and reckless as to go and become one. And I really like that. And just, it's a really interesting moment when Araragi is actually genuinely disgusted by Ononoki seemingly killing Tadatsuru with no shred of hesitation or remorse. And I do kind of wish that there would have been at least a little bit of time when Araragi feels distant from her and tries to stay away from her. But obviously you have Gain that doesn't let that happen. And I do wonder if he did start that distance between him and Oronoki. Maybe there was a risk that they would have never become friends again. So they had to cut that out immediately. But yeah, it's definitely something to keep in mind. That maybe that from then on, Araragi's perception of Onoki changed for the worse. But yeah, all their banter and all their fun interactions, especially in Sokuowari and in Oni, are just a delight. So yeah, that's what gets Ononoki here. Now we get into the B's. And here it's gonna be at the top of B, Oikura. And I know, the writing for her, it's immaculate. I won't deny that. The reason that she's not any higher is simply because, man, the stuff with her is so heavy, it's just not fun reading it or watching it. I do have an easier time reading it, but man, just, I get anxiety every time I rewatch her arcs. So yeah, that's literally the whole reason why she's this low. But yeah, the writing for her is amazing. And man, poor girl. I wish she'd had a better upbringing. But not everyone can be saved, and we have to accept that. But maybe there is some salvation after all. Since, as long as you can keep living, good things can happen to you. And from her arc, I think it's Sodachi... It's not Sodachi Riddle, it's the last one. I swear I'm not a fake fan, bro. What's the second one? Sodachi... Lost. Sodachi Lost. Sodachi Lost is the one that has my favorite quote in the series. Which is the one about happiness that Araragi gives to her. I'm not sure if I have the quote in hand, but you'll know how the quote goes, you know? Don't underestimate happiness. Yeah. Definitely my favorite in the whole series. And then just the way that she uses Araragi as, you know, just having so much hate just so that all the hate doesn't go towards herself. Oof. Yeah, okay. I'm sure Sodachi lovers will tell you why her character is so amazing, but you know, that's just what I get for her. And I've already been yapping a lot, so let's continue on. After this, I'm gonna say... Oh man, this is when things get fuzzy. They're, you know what, from here on, they're not in order. Okay, so with that in mind, let me put Oshino here. Oshino, great character. I wish he had more, like, you know, I'm still hoping we get that arc with all the specialists in college, and that he be the perspective character. But maybe I'm in too much hopium. Yeah, all the stuff with him in Araragi, with him and Shinobu, and just whenever he gets to talk to the other girls, it's really interesting. But yeah, just there's a lot of stuff with Oshino that is just not really gone into. So it just makes me think, this initiation, is he gonna keep it a secret forever, or is he just leaving it for a future novel? Who knows? But there's definitely, you know, that's why Oshino is this far down. There's just not enough. There's just not enough for him in terms of, like, you know, going into what really makes him him. But I really do like what we get, and his banter with Araragi is pretty cool and fun. Just, yeah. The stuff in Kisu is really good. And the stuff in Bake, there's some controversial stuff in Nekokuro, but I still think he's good in that. And I wish his appearance in Owari was longer, but you know, he's effective in what he does. And man, he's just so suave and casual about everything. Except when he isn't, like when Hanakawa gets she gets kidnapped in Kisu 3. So it's interesting to get to know what really makes him tick. But yeah, he's so cool, man. And just the way that he's basically a big brother figure for Araragi. And he teaches him everything that there is to know about oddities. And just by the end of Bake, he's like, you're fine. You'll be fine without me. I've taught you enough that you don't need me here. It's pretty good. And just the way that he doesn't say goodbyes. Like, what's up with that? And also, what's up with the line in Koi when Hanekawa asks Kaiki, like, oh, does Oshino have a niece? And Kaiki just goes, no, he doesn't have any family. He was born to be alone in this world. What does that even mean? Anyway, Oshino, great. After this, Tsukihi. So she's a bit of a weird one since she has one arc. And I do really like her in this, but it's mostly about what Araragi's feelings towards her, really. Like, she's barely in the arc, which is crazy, but yeah, that's just how it is. I mean, all her big stuff are with interactions that she has with others, her conversation with Nadeko, her conversation with Araragi in Nekokuro, the moment that Araragi has with her before he goes and fights Kagenui, her moment with Ogi in Owari is really up there for me. And yeah, there's some cool stuff in Nise, but it's during the current arc, I think. When she's like, yeah, I don't really actually believe in justice, that's all just Karen's stuff, but I just go with it because I don't really have my own justice. So that's Tsukihi. She's really, really cool and fun and really inconsistent, but in a consistent way. And then after that, we have Karen. Karen is just fun. And I really do like her stuff in Karen B. Her fight with Araragi and the resolution of it. We don't talk about the toothbrush episode. We don't. It should have been way shorter because there's definitely some stuff that I wish would have been adapted in the Tsukihi arc. But the ones behind Nise just said, nah, let's give the toothbrush episode more screen time because it's fan service. But yeah, I like her stuff in episode 9 of Nise, with her carrying Araragi in her shoulders, and then the stuff with the rock, paper, scissors. That's so fun. And yeah, there's unfortunately not as much to Karen as there is with Tsukihi, but she's still quite a fun character, and I do like her arc having to do with fakes and having to accept that she's a fake. But yeah, Five Sisters, underrated. They're in B, but I still quite love them. After this, it's probably actually, no, I think these are all B. After is C. Or I may go back to this, but for now let's keep it like that. So in C, let's put Numachi. And Numachi is pretty damn good for just being a one arc character. There's a lot to her, and even though I don't remember all of it right now, in the novel, just the way that they go in her backstory, and this story that she has with that first girl that she listens to her problems is so good. And her dynamic with Kambaru is so good. I wish we'd seen her talk with Kaiki once, but it is what it is. So yeah, that's all. After this is probably Tadatsuru. Tadatsuru hella underrated, bro. And I'm not just saying this because he's voiced by Takahito Koyasu. But I wish we had more in regards to what his relationships are with the rest of the specialists, because he's so separated from the rest of them. Yeah, he apparently considers Oshino a friend, but everyone else is just very isolated from. And even then, it was implied that Oshino would have or rather threatened him if he killed Shinobu and Araragi. But yeah, I really like the stuff with him and puppets, and the stuff with Ononokiro. I feel so bad for him. Just that Ononoki she thinks that she actually killed him. Not a puppet of his, but she actually killed him. And she doesn't feel anything whatsoever about it. And even when Araragi meets him back in hell, she's like, yeah, just let Ononoki know that she doesn't have to feel bad about it. It's like, oh, buddy. But yeah, the stuff with him, so obsessed with becoming a puppet so much that he ended up dying, and he lives through his puppets. It's so fascinating, and I wish they kind of went into it a little bit more. Though even now, I'm still not fully sure what it says about his character. Basically, we don't have enough time with him, and I'm so curious to what his relationship with Kagenui, how it was. And why did Ononoki choose her over him? I'm so curious about that. But yeah, I love the scene that he has in Tsuki. And the whole, I've been casted perfectly for this role, so how did I get you get out of this? Okay? Like, we've really just been put on the stage and forced to play out our roles, but you don't have to, okay? I'm tired of playing this role. Like that's so cool. Yeah, so very rare that I see people caring about Tatsuru, but I'm different. So after this, it's Seishiro. Yeah. Seishiro, as a character, unfortunately, we don't get to see much. Just seeing him just be. It's mostly just characters talking about him. Yeah. Or, just the way that he affected other characters. So he would be higher if we got to see him just, to figure out what kind of more about his personality, and to see him actually the way that he interacts with Shinobu. If she got the courage to actually talk to him one last time, but we didn't. So this is the best that he gets, because the way that Shinobu deals with his death and seeing him again, it's so good. But like I said, it's not really. We don't get much of him, actually. We get of how characters feel about him. So there he is. After this is it's Kagenui. Kagenui, yeah, there's some really cool stuff with her and Nise, and just the whole conversation that she has with Araragi about, are humans fundamentally evil or good? And then, we get to see, well, what were Oshino's and Kaiki's response to that. And that's how she just leaves, because she's convinced about Araragi being a human. And that's how, he says, like, I was hesitant to fight you truly, because just like Oshino, you saw me as a human from the moment I walked in. So she's cool. There's not much to her, but she's cool. And I hope we get to see more of her eventually. After that, episode has some cool stuff that the anime unfortunately left out in both Kisu and Owari during Shinobu's arc. So yeah, he talks about his parents and how he lost them, and that being the main reason why he hates vampires. And then in Kisu, we have him actually apologizing for what he did to Hanekawa, even if it was an accident. And he helps clean everything up in the school, in the area where he fought Araragi. So yeah, there's just some enough for episode to make him likable and have enough substance to be put in C. D is Guyan. I don't really care for Guyan. I have nothing to say about her, bro. She's just exposition the character. But she has some interesting relationships with some characters, like Kaiki and Oshino and Kambaru. But we don't really get to see it. She feels like she's always putting on a mask of the reliable know-it-all senpai. So yeah. And then lastly, I don't know. These two could go hand in hand. Guillotine Cutter and Dramaturgy. So Guillotine Cutter actually has a really cool short story with him and Kishou talking before she kills him in Kisu 3. You really should read that. It's really cool. And if you don't wanna if you don't read, then the manga, the Bakemonogatari manga, does adapt it. So you can also do it if you need drawings. But yeah, he's cool. He's interesting. And there's also dramaturgy with he also all the vampire hunters got the short end of the stick for the Kisu movies. But yeah, he has an army of vampires, and he invited Araragi to go to it because, you know, being a kiss shot thrall, he's like, yeah, you would be a great addition to it. You know, we'll pay you good and stuff. So yeah, that's interesting. And there's some he just has more dialogue lines in the novel, so he has some cool characterization. And he's the only one in the first encounter with Araragi that he can't understand because he's speaking in a different language. But then everyone else tells him, you know, dramaturgy, this is Japan, so, you know, you speak Japanese. So he does, and then Araragi just understands all three. Yeah. Whew, this was a long ass video. But hopefully you guys now have a decent understanding of of how I feel about the Monogatari characters. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to off season in the summer, and hopefully I can react to all of it. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Until next time, see ya.